Happy Tuesday, everyone. I hope you're all having an amazing day. Since it is Tuesday, it's time to rank some albums. Thank you to Arctic last week for suggesting Eminem. We're going to do Eminem this week. You said it was your favorite rapper, and you guys know I think he's one of the best rappers of all time. So I think it's a good week to do Eminem. He has a long discography, 11 albums, so we got a lot to talk about tonight. Thank you to everyone that suggested an artist to do this week. Keep those comments coming. We're going to knock these artists out one by one, week by week. So tonight we have Eminem. Got a lot to talk about. As always, you guys know I don't think any of these albums are bad. It's just ranking them in terms of how good they are sonically, lyrically, and all the above. So starting at number 11, I have Infinite, dropped in 1996. It was Eminem's first album. You can definitely tell it was young Eminem on this album, and that's basically it. It just didn't have as much flair as his other albums. It had glimpses of his potential, but I think he was an independent artist at the time or on a small label or something, but he didn't have Aftermath or Interscope or anything like that. So he definitely had potential, which ended up coming to fruition later in his career, but just didn't have the same flares. So Infinite at number 11. And coming in at number 10, I have Revival, which dropped in 2017. And it actually wasn't received well by critics. I don't know if you guys know that. But even Eminem, I believe he says it on a song in Music to Be Murdered By, which was just released this year. I think he said on that album in a song that Revival flopped, and he knew that. But it definitely had some great songs on there. I just don't think it lived up to its potential or expectations. And he did have that choppy flow. I know a lot of people are a fan of it. I like it, but I'm not the biggest fan of the choppy flow. I like his quicker flows better. So like I said, Revival actually did cover some great topics, and lyrically it was very good. I just think the project as a whole just didn't shine as bright as the rest of his albums. That's all. My favorite songs off Revival were River with Ed Sheeran. I love Ed Sheeran. Nowhere Fast with Kalani, Bad Husband with Ex-Ambassadors, and Like Home with Alicia Keys. At number 9, I have Kamikaze, which was released in 2018. Now, Kamikaze came right after his beef with MGK. MGK released Rap Devil, taking shots at Eminem for some things, and Eminem released Kill Shot at MGK as a response. I think both the diss tracks were actually pretty good. Kamikaze as a whole, I think a lot of people think he made it just to take shots at MGK, which I don't think the whole album's about that, but he does take more shots at MGK on it. I also think this one, just personally for me, I just don't think it shined as bright as the other 8 albums in front of it. It was a great album. I think what was great about it, in my opinion, is Eminem's flow started coming back, like his classic old school flow. So it definitely did showcase his rap skills better than Revival, and that's why I have it above Revival. My favorite songs off Kamikaze are Good Guy and Lucky You with Joyner Lucas. Anything with Joyner Lucas is fire. Coming in at number 8, I have Marshall Mathers LP 2. I think that this one, again, didn't really live up to its super high expectations. This album came out in 2013, 3 years after Recovery, so people were kind of anticipating something crazy from Eminem. And I did enjoy the vibes on it. I really think it used a lot of samples, like in Rhyme or Reason and So Far, and it kind of did have a classic rock feel in some of the tracks. But it did have some mega hits on it. You had, The Monster was a huge hit. But even though, it didn't live up to its expectations, I think in the fans' eyes, it still sold 792,000 albums in the first week, which is pretty much impossible these days, especially with streaming services out. So for the fact it sold that much, just shows how popular Eminem is and how much people love his music. I actually did love a few songs on there. My favorite songs on there were Love Game with Kendrick Lamar, Stronger Than I Was, The Monster, and Berserk. I remember when Berserk came out, and I just remember running to that song all the time and listening to it in the gym and stuff. So Marshall Mathers LP 2 at number 8. At number 7, I have Encore. This was considered Eminem's dark album. I think most artists are known to have their quote-unquote darker album, if they're in a bad state of mind at the time or whatever they're going through. Sometimes it just shows through their art, and that's what art is, and it's all relatable. It was a very controversial album. A lot of people think that, and it was probably his most controversial album, but it was still prime Eminem, and that's what makes it number 7 on the list. So my favorite songs off of it are Like Toy Soldiers and Mockingbird. Coming in at number 6, I have Music to Be Murdered By, which was released in 2020, just this year. The first time I listened to Music to Be Murdered By, I was like, this is pretty good, but the second and third time around, I was like, whoa, Eminem is kind of back, and this album's really good. I really like the flow. He didn't really stick to the choppy flow that just, in my opinion, wasn't my favorite. And he went back to, the speed rap, speed flow and all that. He got his flow back, and it was kind of like old school Eminem merged with modern day rap, which I think was really cool. Godzilla off of Music to Be Murdered By. Everyone knows Godzilla with Juice WRLD. It's a banger, and the lyrics on it are amazing. And then Eminem spits this double time or triple time. I don't know. He spits super fast, and it's one of the craziest rap songs I've ever heard. Kind of like Rap God off Marshall Mathers LP 2, but Godzilla is even crazier. And I think just with, the mix of old school mixed with modern rap, I think that's what puts it in the top 6 in Eminem's discography. My favorite songs off it are Those Kinds of Nights with Ed Sheeran, and I really like that song because he references Ohio, Toledo, Cleveland. It's a really good song. And Leaving Heaven, I really like that song as well. So Music to Be Murdered By, number 6. At number 5, I have Recovery, which came out in 2010. It was about Eminem's recovery from addiction. I remember when he released Not Afraid. That single was amazing. Everyone was listening to it before every sports game, and it was a huge hit. And Love the Way You Lie came out with Rihanna, and that song, that was a mega hit. I mean, I know it's not Eminem's best song of all time, but that song was played on the radio all year long. That song is just amazing, and it's super relatable. It had big hits. It was hype. It was a little bit controversial. Well, it was controversial. Like Cold Wind Blows is a very controversial song. And everything you love about Eminem was packed into an album. It got you through tough times, and it was a very relatable album in my opinion. So my favorite songs were No Love, Love the Way You Lie, Cold Wind Blows, Cinderella Man I think is a very underrated song, and so is 25 to Life. I think those two songs are very underrated. Go listen to those 2 tracks. Let me know what you think. At number 4, I have Relapse. I think this album was so much fun, and even though it was Relapse, not Recovery, I still put it a notch higher. I think when it was released, it had some mega hits. I remember when Crack the Bottle single came out with 50 Cent and Dr. Dre. Everyone was rapping that song. It was on the radio nonstop. That song was so fun. And then We Made You with Jessica Simpson. That song was controversial, funny, and we had a good, solid Eminem, and it was a full package. Like, it was an album that you can listen to all the way through without skipping any songs. And that's what you want from an album, especially like when you're ranking albums. I still think it had a little bit of like dark Eminem, but with Eminem Show vibes. And I really liked Eminem Show because, it had some little funky aspects, very lyrical aspects, and things like that. We hadn't had an Eminem album in like 5 years since Encore, so we had big expectations for it, and he met them, if not passed those expectations. And I really enjoyed this album. My favorite songs were We Made You, Crack a Bottle, and Beautiful. I think Beautiful is a very underrated song, and if you're in any type of bad mood, sad, or anything like that, you should listen to Beautiful by Eminem. It's a great song. Coming in at number 3, top 3. I love talking about it, and let me know in the chat what you guys think about this list so far, but I have Slim Shady LP, which dropped in 1999. This was Eminem's first big release with a big label, Aftermath Records, of course, and Interscope. He released My Name Is. Super controversial song, and I think that is really what made people be like, whoa, this kid doesn't only have talent, but he's wild. He's not afraid to say anything what's on his mind, and I think it was great. It was just insane, and it's a classic hip-hop album. There's nothing else to say about it. It's a great album all the way through. It's a great old school album, and it'll be in one of the best of all time, always. My favorite songs off of it are 97 Bonnie and Clyde, My Name Is, and Guilty Conscious. So Slim Shady LP, number 3. All right, top 2. At number 2, I have The Eminem Show. I think The Eminem Show might be my favorite Eminem album personally. Another classic hip-hop album. This one comes together so perfectly. It's another album where you can listen to every song without skipping any, and it's a whole package. You have controversy, hype, some of Eminem's best songs of all time are on it. Till I Collapse is on it. Without Me, those 2 songs, huge, mega hits. You just can't deny that. It's funky, old school, goes hard. It's just got everything you want. I love it. Superman is a great song too. People love singing Superman by Eminem. So, great song. My favorite songs were Without Me, which personally my favorite Eminem song of all time is Without Me. I think the flow, the beat, everything on that song is perfect. Till I Collapse, also mega hit. Love that song. Sing for the Moment with that sample, the Aerosmith sample, incredible, and Say What You Say. So Eminem Show at number 2, and at number 1, Marshall Mathers LP. I don't know if that's a controversial spot for it. I think a lot of people would agree that Marshall Mathers LP is number 1, but it's prime Eminem. It's so good. He was so truthful and real on this album, and he was a great storyteller on this album, to say the least. Very lyrical, one of the best rap albums of all time. Don't think there's any denying that. Old school, Eminem's flow was insane. Dr. Dre was producing like crazy at the time. He had Kim on there. Like, who would think that you would have a song like Kim just put out there? Like, he really put his feelings and heart on his sleeve in this album. Lyrical, dramatic, funny, put together perfectly. Again, you could listen to the whole thing. You have mega hits, Stan, Real Slim Shady. I mean, come on. It just doesn't get much better than that. Like, Stan is honestly a masterpiece of a song of storytelling wise. So prime Eminem, Marshall Mathers LP, number 1. Don't get much better than that. My favorite songs off it were Stan, Real Slim Shady, and The Way I Am. I think The Way I Am is a very underrated song, but Stan and Real Slim Shady, they live up to this day. I mean, people still listen to them all the time, and I think that album is truly timeless. So that is my Eminem albums ranked. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. If you have any discrepancies, let me know who would be your top 3, or what would be your top 3 ranked Eminem albums. Let me know in the comments. Let me know what countdown I should do next week. And I appreciate all you guys for watching. You guys know I love your support, every single one of you out there. So hit a like if you haven't yet. Subscribe to the channel. Share with your friends. Do all that stuff. Friday Freestyle coming Friday. And stream all my music on all streaming platforms. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EJSpark1. And you guys know how the ending goes. It's peace, love, I love s'mores. EJ out.